Welcome back. This is Face the Nation, the final round. I start off the final round with Mr. Asoka Begunawardena, Chairman, CEO of SEMA. Mr. Begunawardena, Mr. Gunasekara says there is no alternative. What do you think? Do you think that there will be someone who will come up, take the lead and say, let's do it. Let's take Sri Lanka in the right track. I saw a recent article that was published on social media saying there is an individual who wants to pay all the debt off and he's going to contest the presidential election in 2020. So this person was never there in the picture at one point. I don't know whether he's going to win or lose or whether he's going to even contest. But isn't there always an alternative?
Definitely there will be an alternative, no question about that. But we need to think for a better world. That's the point we have to look at. And I think what we were trying to do with the previous presidential election, two things. Firstly, to defeat the Mahinda Rajapaksa regime, which was leading towards dictatorship very strongly, and we had to stop that, and we have achieved that. And beyond that, we were expecting that the two major parties will come to an understanding regarding the future of Sri Lanka, which is a must, because they were representing two different policies and the worldwide situation has changed. So we need to think of a different development model. So towards that, we were expecting they will be having constructive dialogue among themselves, which will lead to a better Sri Lanka. But I mean, even the results, the 2015 general election result favored the dialogue between the two major parties, because none of the two major parties was able to secure the simple majority in the parliament. So at that instant, they had a very good opportunity, golden opportunity for them to have a constructive dialogue. Unfortunately, that did not happen. Now, 2 years, since then we have passed 2 years, now we have recognized that this government has failed. So beyond this, definitely now either SLFP should get together or UNP must put forward a concrete program for the next 3 years. And depending on that program only, I think the final decision can be taken by the President, because none of these parties have a simple majority in the parliament. So towards this, what's needed is for us to, as civil society and as the media, we have to have a constructive dialogue regarding what should happen during the next 3 years, rather than discussing about what happened in the past and digging the past and corruption. Beyond that, what should happen during the next 3 years? For that, we need to have constructive dialogue, which may support to a better alternative. Otherwise, alternative is anyway there. What is important is to show that, direct that to a positive direction. So towards that, we have to discuss this matter. We have to openly negotiate and come to a better understanding regarding the future of Sri Lanka.
Thank you very much, Mr. Asoka Begunawardena, Chairman, CEO of SEMA. I now move my attention to Mr. Kesarulal Gunasekara, former Member of Parliament, former Nationalist Member of Parliament of the UPFA, as well as the former Deputy Mayor of the Devada Mount Municipal Council. Mr. Gunasekara, you always say that the media has a role to play when it comes to governance and ensuring that the media plays the role of the watchdog in the society. My question is to you is that, let's take the media for a side for a moment. Let's not think about the media. What is the role of the citizens of the nation in a situation like this? What is the role of members of the civil society in a situation like this?
Unfortunately, we don't have a very strong civil society in this country. That is a serious problem. If we had a civil society like that of India, we wouldn't have been in this position today. Because we do not have a strong civil society. So many things are happening. So many things. And as a result, things get washed under the carpet. It's so sad. We need a better civil society, and I think the media can play that role in bringing that civil society. Don't forget one thing: the civil society will be much more stronger if they are led in a correct direction. Much more stronger.
But do you think, Mr. Gunasekara, given what has been happening across the world, I brought this example before as well. Let's take the US for an example. Everyone predicted that Hillary Clinton is going to win the polls. Media hyped it up, but the people thought differently. Justin Trudeau's incident in the Canadian Parliament, no one thought he's going to be the Prime Minister, but he made it. The media was wrong again. We saw this happening in Brexit, we saw this happening in France. So it's not the media alone, it's the citizenry that is involved in this whole machinery, isn't it?
That's why that's what I said, the civil society is very much strong. If the media can prop them up, the creation of the civil society is through the media. That's how you educate them.
What about the role of the citizenry, Mr. Gunasekara? What do you think, how do you position them in this whole equation? Because at the end of the day, they go to the polling booth, they exercise their franchise and elect members.
As I said before, as to whether our citizens are geared on those lines, I doubt it very much. But they can be trained and they can be led in the correct direction. That is something that has to be done. That is very important, I feel. And that is something that the government and the media will both have to look up to and ensure that you have a strong civil society. If you have a strong civil society, half these problems will not surface, will not even arise. Because
leave alone a civil society, we don't even have a strong opposition in Parliament, Mr. Gunasekara.
Well, the civil society can do a better job.
Better than the parliamentarians. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I feel so.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gunasekara, former Member of Parliament, Nationalist MP of the UPFA. I now move my attention finally to Attorney at Law, Mr. Maitri Gunaratna. He's also the competent authority of Lanka Mineral Sands Limited. A very quick question to you. Have you been put from one post to another post, from pillar to post, or are you now in a situation where you're from the frying pan into the fire? Do you think that the organization that you're working right now is also corrupt?
The organization?
Absolutely.
No.
It's not corrupt. So you can do your task successfully, freely, with the authority as the competent authority of this particular body in question.
Before I was appointed, Samir, this organization had only funds for funds to manage for 2 months. And this is one of the main income. It can generate one of the biggest incomes for this country, the mineral resources in Pulmude. From resources which were available for only 2 months, I have been able to increase the income and bring this company to $1 billion rupee company. It's today we are worth 1 billion. We have got 1 billion. We have made 1 billion rupees, and it's in the company's name. I have this last 6 months. I have had my own way of running this place. I've run it, and I think even the workforce is very happy. So I have made my contribution. I mean, I don't think it's a case of frying pan to fire, but I've been able to stall a process where they were going to give this to the private sector or sell this to the private sector for maybe a pittance, with a huge stock of
natural resources
in its possession. So I have been able to stop that, and I've increased production by about 150 to 200%, and by September, October, I should be able to increase it by about 300%.
Mr. Gunaratna, why can't we do what you are doing at the organization that you're representing right now in other state bodies? We heard what Mr. Abhigul said before as well.
You have to be sincere.
That are making losses.
Yeah, you have to be sincere and you have to be honest. You have to have the passion and the commitment to do it. Now, I invite even the Auditor General to come and check our organization. We have done everything according to all regulations, and we have been able to make money for the government, and I'm sure if I'm allowed to stay here for another 1 or 2 years, I will make this a 5 billion to 10 billion rupee company. There is no problem about that.
So you're again pessimistic. I'm trying to say that you'll be shown the door again?
I feel when I come to Sirasa, I think the door is they're tapping on the door.
Because the last time you came here, they showed you the door. As Lanka Kohli
come for your programs. I'm tapping on the door. Someone is tapping on the door.
Mr. Gunaratna, one final question to you. The next few weeks, will we see resignations taking place?
I think that we must see change. Now this is enough. The president will have to take a decision and make change, get all parties together, appoint someone who can run this place and go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maitri Gunaratna, for your thoughts as well. He acts as the competent authority of Lanka Mineral Sands Limited. Thank you very much, Mr. Kesaralal Gunasekara, former Member of Parliament UPFA and also former Deputy Mayor of the Dehavel Mount Municipal Council. One thing is for sure, Mr. Gunasekara, you may not be contesting the next election. Is it so?
You mean to say which election?
Whatever elections that come.
Presidential election.
Because you say there is no proper alternative, so I'm trying to figure out, would you be contesting the next election?
No, when I said no proper alternative, there is nobody in the horizon. And what I see in the horizon is worse.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gunasekara. And then comes to Maitri Gunaratna. Interesting remarks right at the end. What we see in the horizon is worse, and you said one day that you will also be looking at contesting an election in the future, and you may be that worst option. Is that what Mr. Gunasekara is trying to say? I can give you around 10 seconds to respond. If you don't want to, I can just pass.
I will contest an election if it's a seat-by-seat basis. If the electoral system is changed, I will contest, but not under this corrupt political system.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maitri Gunaratna. You have two men who were politicians one time, Mr. Asoka Begunwardhan, saying that future is bleak, there is no alternative, but if there is a change in the electoral system. Do you have, very quickly, I'll give you 10 seconds, do you have some advice to these two gentlemen, because your hair is white, so completely white, you can give some advice?
Well, actually, the next strategic move will decide whether it's going to better or worse. So strategic move is the most important thing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Asoka Begunwardhan, Chairman and CEO of SEMA. Thank you very much, Nadeem. Thank you very much, Charita, for your input as well as the questions tonight. Quite interesting indeed. I leave you tonight with a quote, as I always do. Good governance never depends upon laws, but upon the personal qualities of those who govern. The machinery of government is always subordinate to the will of those who administer that machinery. Hence, the most important element of government, therefore, is the method of choosing your leaders. Take care and good night.